nothing is done by the end of the year, it's going to go to 20%. That's not going to be good for our economy. Regulation. Here's the thing about regulation, what I've learned, is first of all, we have sets of regulations at the federal, the state, and the local level. And in many cases, it turns a small business in different directions. There are circumstances where the federal government is telling a small business to do one thing, the state's moving them in another direction, and even inside the state, when you look at the DEC and the various elements inside the DEC, sometimes they vary cross purposes. This is vexing to our small business owners because no one speaks for them. There's no empathy for them on how they go about doing their business. I think in this day and age, a small business owner ought to be able to go to the internet, and I'm even okay with a standardized form. You know, that the feds and the state can sit down together and figure out what do we want to see in a business proposal so that we can then comment, review and comment. A small business owner ought to be able to go upload their proposal for growth, whether that's going to be a new B&B, you take your pick. You know, we ought to be able to upload that concept, and then the various agencies, the EPA, the Army Corps of Engineers, the DEC, the archaeologists, the town board, ought to be able to review and comment. It is incredible to learn, and very disappointing to learn, how long it takes in some of these circumstances for small business owners to go from idea to fruition. And that's part of the reason why we don't have jobs right now. We don't have jobs. I was alarmed to find out how many jobs would actually come to life if they actually got the permit. If they actually got permits to actually see their projects through. Because, you know, the lexicon, all the discourse in DC is about stimulus. We need to grow the economy, let's spend the money to get it done. I think if we slow down and just ask the engine, you know, up to 70% of our jobs are created by small business. So occasionally when I have a moment on, after church, if I'm watching the Sunday morning talk shows, I find it interesting to listen to all the smart economists, the PhDs from here and there. They're macro economists. But here's the thing. They can look at their econometrics, they can look at all their data. But you know what's simpler? It's just to go talk to the people who are going to create the jobs. Ask them, are you going to grow this year? And then the first response is usually general. Say, no, pin them down. Say, what do you do? Are you going to expand this year? What is your business plan? Now, here's the response I'm getting. No, they're not going to expand. And the reason why is that they're uncertain. They don't know what's going to be the taxation level on 1 January. They believe, and you don't have to take it from me, you can ask, they believe the health care bill is going to crush them. And they're not even sure to what extent. The 1099 is the topic du jour now, but there is so much more to talk about. And then the confidence is shaken because you say, well, cap and trade won't pass. And then some businessmen, small business owners, men and women say, really? We didn't think health care was going to pass. So there's some uncertainty as to what is going to come out of Washington, D.C. All of this conduces to an environment that is hostile to growth. That's why I think we should try to get at the problems of growth through the targeted tax and regulatory relief. I will tell you what I've learned about Section 404 of the Clean Water Act. I mean, the issue with that, and I mentioned right up front that we want a beautiful environment. That's part of the reason why we're here, and we're serious about that. We got a lot of outdoorsmen here. But the issue with the Section 404 of the Clean Water Act is that it's written with so much discretion that it's really up to anyone's guess as to whether or not it's going to apply in some cases. We had a case of a business owner in this county who was trying to mine peat up in Duanesburg. He was working this concept for 5 years. When I talked to him, I first talked to him in late March. He was still trying to get this thing to fruition. And he was being hung up by my beloved Army Corps of Engineers. We're holding him up. Now, later in the spring, the Army Corps decided to retreat from that position. They said, okay, if you go to the land and you do a little bit of work here, we're going to decide that the Section 404, the definition, is not going to apply. So this small business owner was excited, and I was happy for them. But that's a shame to take 5 years to do that. You think you got to pay lawyers over that time? You got to pay specialists to go out there? All of this eats at the bottom line. Taxes and regulation. Here's the third thing, healthcare. Healthcare costs. I just got an email last night from a friend of mine who I went to high school with.
a wonderful guy. He lives up in Saratoga now. Pete Bailey.
So